Hey YouTube, in this video we're going to be going over how to install and set up the Live Gamer Bolt, which I recently did a unboxing video on, specifically on an AMD based Ryzen 7000 series platform. So we're going to be testing this with the X670 Aorus Master from Gigabyte alongside the GC Maple Ridge add-in card from Gigabyte. So the reason why we're going to showcase this scenario, because I feel like this setup requires more work than if you were to go with, say, the ASRock Taichi or something from the Asus Crosshair Hero or Crosshair Extreme series, because those boards specifically already include the Thunderbolt controller found in this add-in card. So for those specific motherboards, all you have to do, as far as I know, although I can't prove it because I don't have those boards, is all you have to do is go ahead and buy the Live Gamer Bolt, connect the Thunderbolt port to one of the USB4 ports on the back of those motherboards, and you should be good to go. All you have to do is install the driver, verify that this is detected, and just go from there with their RECentral software or OBS or XSplit or whatever capture software you use for streaming or recording. But this one in particular is unique because Gigabyte did not include the Thunderbolt controller. Instead, they gave you an X4 PCIe slot where you can install this. Now, people might say, well, why don't you just install a Live Gamer 4K, which is cheaper than this and relatively easy to set up as well, because this requires having to install the add-in card. Well, I guess the answer there is this in particular gives you line in, whereas the 4K does not, and this is portable. This is mobile, so if you have a laptop in addition to this desktop, and that has a Thunderbolt 3 port on it, then you can take this with you if you're going to events or if you're doing some kind of production shooting, you need to record footage on the fly. The Live Gamer Bolt does offer a unique capability that a fixed add-in card does not, and it's very small and condensed, so you don't have to, carry around a big, bulky external enclosure for the Live Gamer 4K as an example. On top of that, you still also have the additional capabilities that the Thunderbolt add-in card offers, as like, for example, video pass-through, video input, and you get a second, there's two Thunderbolt ports on here. So you can hook this up to one of the ports, but then you still have the other port available. So I think this option, though it is more expensive, the benefits of it is that it gives you more functionality. You have more flexibility in being able to get more out of that PCIe slot on the motherboard. So this is kind of covering all bases, but this does show that Thunderbolt, or what this video will show is that Thunderbolt 3 and I guess Thunderbolt 4, because Thunderbolt 4 is the add-in card, but this is only a Thunderbolt 3 enabled device per the actual packaging and specification. It does show that Thunderbolt now does work relatively well, and it's very simple to set up on an AMD based system, at least these modern Ryzen 7000 series platforms. So without further ado, let's go ahead and show the setup and we'll go from there. Alright, so setup is kind of straightforward. So you can see I've connected the Thunderbolt, or the Live Gamer Bolt rather. It's sitting on top of the desktop for now. The cable that comes with it, we'll note, is very short. It's like 3 feet long, I think, so you can't really go too far from your desktop. But I can see how this is fine if you're connecting it to a laptop. But in my case, because the add-in card is all the way down there, the cable, I can't really have this too far away from it. But essentially I have that hooked up there. Then I have the, let me just kind of show you guys. See it like that. I don't have the video pass-through yet connected. But that's not really needed for what we're doing. And then for the setup, when you first plug it in, so you can see in the Thunderbolt Control Center, you've got attached, it automatically detects it, so that's really good. And remember, we're on an AMD platform, so this kind of shows that it does actually seem like it's working so far, at least without the drivers installed. So this is it, detects it. And then in the device manager, it does show up as a multimedia video controller. So it's saying the drivers are not installed, so we'll need to install those. So what you want to do from there is you want to go to AVerMedia's website. So you can just Google Live Gamer Bolt, and you want to click on driver specifically, because this is what we need. And then what I would do, make sure you download the right one for your operating system. So if you're on Mac, you're going to want to download the Mac OS, but we're on Windows, so we're going to want this one. I think this is the latest one from December of 2020. Seems like this one has a driver and a firmware update. So this is the one that you would download, and then you would go ahead and install that, and then it should be good to go. So when you run the setup, it should show, okay. Now it shows that it's connected, and now there we go. You can see Device Manager is updating, so it's installing the driver. So it looks like everything should be good. According to this, bus power, everything. So that should be it. If you want to change the lighting effects, you can click on Settings in RECentral for the Live Gamer Bolt. And if you have more than one capture card connected, that's an AVerMedia card, they'll show up in the list over here. But you can do scrolling. This is the default. You turn them off if you don't like the RGB. Solid color, pulsing RGB, blinking. And you can even determine the frequency about how fast it scrolls. So that's kind of the default behavior. But if I wanted to change it to solid color, then we can do red, we can do blue, green, you know, pink, purple, whatever. So yeah, so that's kind of that's it for the customization. That's really cool. It is worth noting that there is a small fan located right about here in this enclosure. So I just want to kind of see if I can get a noise test for you guys. In general, if you're like right next to this, if you're using a laptop, it could be a little bit audible if you're recording, but if it's idling like right now, and even from when I was using it earlier, I couldn't really hear it over the case fans on the desktop. But granted, I do have this mounted quite a distance away from me since this is on the floor. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. So I just think that is different from the internal capture card, because the internal capture card doesn't need the fan, because I guess the idea is it's cooled from the case fans itself. So this gives a little bit of airflow. Seems pretty durable. It seems like the type that you'd find inside a laptop. So I don't really have any concerns with reliability on the fan in the long run, but it is something worth mentioning, so I will note that in this video. So far, Live Gamer Bolt, there it is. No signal because the console's off, but we'll turn that on. There we go. So PlayStation 5 detects that it's connected to a new device, so it's going to ask me to adjust the display area. But I'm pretty stoked because this is really nice to have. It gives you the ability to capture 4K 60 HDR, and then on top of that, it's an external capture card. So you have the benefit of, you know, being able to connect it to a laptop if you have a laptop with a Thunderbolt 3 port, or you can take it on the go, right? So it's good for like media coverage and that sort of thing. So if you're going to like live events or something and you need to capture footage from something, you have the ability to do that now. So so let me just play around here real quick. Just want to do an input latency test. So you can see I'm flicking the, and she's kind of, okay, so yeah, we're just testing different buttons to test for input latency. You can see like there isn't really, from what I can tell, there isn't much input latency, and that's on an external device. So there you go. That's Thunderbolt 4. Well, it's Thunderbolt 3 on the capture card. This kind of shows that Thunderbolt 4 is backwards compatible with Thunderbolt 3 devices, like this Live Gamer Bolt. And on top of that, it works on Ryzen, which is pretty awesome. But you can see your Decode formats for the Live Gamer Bolt are as follows. Let me just zoom. Well, let's stay right there. You have Y2. Most people probably use NV12. But if you want like full 444, you can do RGB24. It's got all those. Typically, for the least amount of bandwidth required, you can do NV12. That's kind of the default that it went to just from installing the card, and then it'll auto based off of what the console or what the video feed is. So in this case, the PlayStation 5 is pushing 4K 60 Hertz. You can see it right there. It's the Live Gamer Bolt from AVerMedia, running on an AMD Ryzen 7950X, AMD Ryzen 9 7950X, 16 core, 32 threads. If we open up Task Manager, you can see all those 32 threads on that 16 core. 64 gigabytes of memory. These are the specs. So we're running 1-to-1 ratio of the U clock and the mem clock. 64 gigs on a Gigabyte Aorus Master with the old BIOS. So I haven't even updated the BIOS to the latest one yet. But there you go. That's the AVerMedia Live Gamer Bolt. That's Thunderbolt on AMD, and that's how you capture PS5 console footage on an external capture card, 4K 60 recording and pass-through. So I hope you guys found this video useful, and if you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. It does motivate me to keep making more videos like this. And if you have questions about your own system, whether or not it'll work with this card, feel free to leave a comment below, and either myself or one of my subscribers or other viewers may answer the question. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.